Everyone had so many good examples on my last video about the egg symbolism in the occult, including science fiction and mythology, with serpents and aliens being birthed out of them, that I had to do another video about it. The cosmic egg is cosmology originating with Proto-Indo-European mythology, involving an egg that hatched from chaos to create the universe through a primordial being that was both male and female, so androgynous. I forgot to mention that Tiamat, in the realm of the Ring Lords, Tiamat is the mother dragon who creates the universe through primordial chaos, and she is at the top of the genealogy tree in that book, The Realm of the Ring Lords, followed by the Anunnaki and the pharaohs, and on down through all the royals. And this is Tiamat. She's identified as a sea serpent or dragon, and she would have hatched from eggs. In Mesopotamian religion, Tiamat produced the gods in the Babylonian epic Enuma Elish. One of the commenters left this verse from Isaiah 59. Verse 5, they hatch the eggs of vipers and spin a spider's web. Whoever eats their eggs will die, and when one is broken, an adder is hatched. Another commenter said that in I Pet Goat 2, the cosmic egg is being monitored by the Archon. Yeah. Another commenter said that the main bad guy in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, his name was Ego, and he traveled in an egg-shaped craft. And sure enough, here's all the images from that movie, which I never saw. Egg-shaped craft. Another commenter said that H.G. Wells made a short story called The Crystal Egg, which is thought to be a prequel to his novel War of the Worlds. An antiques dealer has a crystal egg, and one day he sees light shining out of it. He looks into the egg and sees a view of another world, in which the characters hypothesize to be on Mars. They see machines and flying creatures. They realize that the creature can also see them and must be looking into a counterpart egg that is in their possession. So these eggs are like the Palantir crystal spheres in Lord of the Rings, through which you can see, but also be seen. It's not stated explicitly in the story, but the readers commonly come to the conclusion that the egg is a surveillance device sent to Earth by the Martians for reconnaissance prior to the landing of their war machines, the tripods from the War of the Worlds. Another commenter said the twin gods, who are in the constellation Gemini, Castor and Pollux, were born from an egg, because Zeus was in the form of a swan when he raped their mother, and they are also said to be gods of St. Elmo's fire. Another commenter said the Serpent's Egg is an album by Dead Can Dance, a band which has tracks with intriguing titles. For instance, one of the titles is In the Kingdom of the Blind, the One-Eyed are Kings, and those lyrics are, if it were within our power, beyond the reach of slavish pride, to no longer harbor grievances behind the mask's opportunist facade, we could welcome the responsibility like a long-lost friend and reestablish the kingdom of laughter in the doll's house once again, for time has imprisoned us in the order of our years, in the disciple of our ways, and in the passing of momentary stillness. We can view our chaos in motion and the subsequent collisions of fools well versed in the subtle art of slavery. Another song from that band is Host of Seraphim, and The commenter said that track was used in the movie The Mist when the Eldritch aliens showed up. And that movie was about the government doing experiments to bring these alien beings in from another dimension. And the movie definitely had a Freemasonic calling card. The register numbers here you can see go from 2 to 33 to 4 and then 5. There was another movie that I found while I was researching called The Serpent's Egg, and the title is taken from a line spoken by Brutus in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, and that line was, "And therefore think him as a serpent's egg which hatched, would as his kind grow mischievous and kill him in the shell." A commenter also said to look into Fabergé eggs. They said, there's a Fabergé egg called the Egg of the Covenant, and then later a similar looking one called the Berkshire egg was commissioned by the Masons to give to the British royals, both very esoteric. And here is the one, the Berkshire egg, the Freemason one. So Fabergé eggs are jeweled eggs created by the House of Fabergé, and this is their symbol. It's a double-headed eagle like the Roman one. So they're from St. Petersburg, Russia, and the Russian Tsar Alexander III and Tsar Nicholas II are the ones who commissioned these eggs originally. And Tsar Nicholas II, his only son Alexei, was the only heir to the Russian throne, but he had hemophilia, a blood disorder common to the aristocracy. So it's a vampire disease. Alexei was the great-grandson of Queen Victoria, who's referred to as the grandmother of Europe, who many of her descendants suffered from hemophilia. So that's vampiric Vicky. The Russian mystic Rasputin was hired by Nicholas II to heal Alexei. And I covered Rasputin in the video The Last American Vampire because one of the characters in that book was based on Rasputin. Before his coronation, Alexander II was given an egg with a silver dagger and 2 skulls with a message, "Christ is risen, and you may crush us, but we nihilists shall rise again." Fabergé was commissioned to make similar eggs for a few private clients, including the Duchess of Marlborough, the Rothschild family, and the Yusufs. The most expensive Fabergé egg is the 3rd Imperial egg, and it's $33 million. The Rothschild's clock egg is $25 million. The Imperial coronation egg is $18 million. And here are some images and names of some of the other original eggs. Cherub with chariot. The Danish palace's egg. And there's another egg called the Royal Danish egg. So Danish palace's egg and Royal Danish egg. So I'm guessing that those czars are related to the Danes. So I guess the theory is correct that they migrated up through the Caucasus and spread out to the east and west in the north. And that would explain this Caucasus egg. I guess it answers that question. You have the blue serpent clock, the Napoleonic egg, the Red Cross egg, the Order of St. George egg, and the Constellation egg. So this is the cosmic egg. Look at this thing. There's an ice wall in the middle. Do you see that? And then the constellations etched into the top. So I have a confession. I despise constellations. I despise the entire concept of constellations. I cannot see any of those sky pictures that they say are there. And I literally cringe anytime a constellation is brought up. I always have. So let me know if you guys can tell me why that is. I'm sure there's a reason. Another commenter also said, the philosopher's stone in alchemy is sometimes called the philosopher's egg, which turns up dark images when you search on it. Same with the hermetic egg and the alchemical egg. And while I was searching for those images, I found this manuscript supposedly belonging to English alchemists John Dee and his son Arthur Dee. And look at that. It is the serpent in the garden. Remember, I was saying that it seems like these eggs represent the serpent's seed. And I might be right. This manuscript was reviewed at a conference in Amsterdam in 2019 by Dan Brown, who was there lecturing on alchemy. Dan Brown of the Da Vinci Code, as in Leonardo da Vinci. Remember, Da Vinci's Mona Lisa was in the background of Jake the Whistleblower talking about the egg UFO. It says, within Dee's alchemical manuscript was a cipher called the Marrow of the Hermetic Philosophy, which was a recipe for the fabled Philosopher's Stone. Arthur Dee was an English alchemist and spent most of his career as a royal physician to Tsar Michael I of Russia, who would have been an ancestor to the czars of the Fabergé eggs were made for. Nicholas, the vampires. The text of the Marrow of the Hermetic Philosophy mentions taking an alchemical egg from the furnace used for gentle heating over a long period of time. It's exactly the same thing Khaleesi did with her dragon eggs. Remember, she incubated them over time. It says this process produces a blood red glass. And then the conclusion to the manuscript was that it was never deciphered, but the article says that alchemical knowledge remains uncovered from a time when extending the natural limit of life was believed possible through alchemy. And I'm sure that's a reference to blood drinking. Thanks for listening.